adamant to bring those children down all through their life. And if we know this, we know this. When God says, "Where are my sheep, where are my lambs" on Judgment Day, and you knew this, but you still sent them to those places or did try to develop something, I think it will go hard on us on Judgment Day. I'm convinced that if we know these things, we're going to be judged on them. And I don't think those who will, because they're ignorant. They have no understanding. But those who claim to understand, lots of my Christian friends, I kind of don't want to hear them talking about religion. Because I'm saying, I know where your children are. I know the kind of things.
So let me get this right. So you had an experience with pornography at an early age.
Age of 6, yeah.
Age of 6 years
Age of
old.
6. Yeah. I'm talking about real hardcore.
So we're talking about 20 years ago.
It wasn't the internet.
Give me a guess. I was starting to think, God, what's going on here? Maybe blessed me with extra life. I don't know. But yeah, I'm 55 now.
Wow.
So,
I would never, ever have said that. I would really.
You know what? If you'd have seen my eyes 20 years ago, the life I was living, you'd have probably thought I was 60.
Yeah,
it was that kind of.
Was it just out of interest? So the internet wasn't there.
No internet. No.
So you're talking about magazines, just on the basis of magazines. No need for details, but we're just
Germany because they wouldn't have had them here.
Magazines and stuff.
Yeah, things that were probably illegal even then.
Okay.
Right. So your journey was that you used to watch. You used to kind of flick through magazines.
I was all over the place. Yeah.
So when you were very young.
Yeah.
After that, you went and lived in.
Well, after that. I don't know, do you really want to hear the testimony? Not really.
Not that part. The part where you went and lived with the Amish.
Oh, with the Amish, right. Long time after that. That we felt we were living amongst, we were hypocrites and we were living amongst hypocrites. And something was saying to us, look, if you're sitting there moaning about the state of the world, but doing nothing to take your children out of the flames, what is this? Is this just a big massage that we're all saying we're religious?
Did you feel like the cosmopolitan reality of inner city living, and the corruptive forces that were acting
100%
against you and made you feel addicted to this superficial lifestyle?
Even for us men walking through the streets on a sunny day is a difficult
that caused you to want a real Puritan type lifestyle, so you went to the Amish.
Well, you know what? Yeah, because there is, some people say Puritan, and it could be conceived as Puritan, but I see it as early church.
Okay.
And I see here early church. You can see early Christians, the women. I've even got the passages here with the head
when I say Puritan, I'm not talking about in a historical sense.
Cromwell or things like that.
Right.
Okay, all right.
Because Puritanism is associated with Protestantism. And you said you're Catholic, isn't it? So that wouldn't have made sense.
Okay, I felt
puritanical.
Puritanical. Yeah. I felt that the purity of my daughters was so important that it didn't matter how much it inconvenienced my life. I was not going to send them into the world to be groomed for hellfire. At the end of the day, we know that. I don't know who's got daughters here. Anyone got daughters? If you've got daughters and they're going to school, and I remember this stuck in my mind. It was in Ireland, it was in a newspaper, and some parents were recounting this story. They said their son went to a new school and he wanted to fit in, as they all do. And after a few weeks, his son came back and was acting really disturbed and really depressed. And luckily, they had his heart so they could communicate. Lots of parents don't. And he said that when he went to the school, the boys all had these out. And they were saying, come here, John, have a look at the funny pictures. And what he saw was so perverted and illegal. And anyone can just tap into that. 8-year-olds. And this is the thing that hit me, because this was me when I was 6. He said to his parents, I can't stop seeing it. Imagine that. The child could not stop seeing the images. Because what happens is, when you see a pornographic or a violent image, it triggers endorphins that give you a high, if that's the thing. Exactly, and they can become addictive. This is why people go from here to here to here, and they jack it up until even something that we wouldn't even dare. They say, this is nothing, I need this to kick in. But this child will be carrying those images to his deathbed.
Wow.
And we know the devil can use images. Let's say it's a hot day, you're walking around town, you're doing your best to be circumspect, but you also are leaning towards going with the sin. When you go home, there's things that you're kind of going on. So anyway, to cut long story short, in the Amish church, they all live in the countryside, which is very important. Well, the thing is, they have computers. I'll tell you. They vary. The Amish that we were with.
Just to put things in context.
I'm a
Catholic Amish in Ireland.
Sounds quite common.
Which part of Ireland was it?
Was in Waterford. You could just look it up. You just type in Amish. It's on Southern Ireland, way down the other end.
Okay, yeah.
But the Amish, a bit like me. In Revelation it says about Babylon, and this is Babylon, out of her lest ye share in her sins and have the same plagues to bear, because this has become a roost of demons. And the Amish understand that if you want to protect your sanctity, you need to take precautions. And the biggest precaution you can take is to move out of the city. The next precaution you do is you say, my children will not have mobile phones that are internet connected. What they did, their parents, these Amish, would have been horse and buggy. They'd have had no electricity. Which in a way I look back and I say, yeah, I can see the wisdom in that. Okay, they would be enclosed, they wouldn't be worldly, they wouldn't go to worldly amusements, they wouldn't go to boxing, they wouldn't go to pictures, they wouldn't go to court, they wouldn't swear an oath, all of these kind of things. But the ones that we were living with, I was part of a brotherhood, which was really important. So I had accountability, people to help me in my life to protect myself. But they had computers for work and education. They also had an accountability partner that was actually connected to their computer. They could see what they were each watching. They would allow their children to watch pre-watched and selected DVDs and videos. They didn't send their children to school. They had their own schools where members of the community did all of the teaching, and my girls went there as well. So that's kind of what they were. They were in the world, but not of the world. They ran they bought a garage that used to sell alcohol, cigarettes, rude magazines, and be open on the holy day. They bought it. They ended up not selling alcohol, no cigarettes, no rude magazines, and everyone said it would fail, but it didn't. So yeah.
Do you know what this is really interesting because of?
Yeah.
I'm listening to you and I'm finding intrigue in your story. This in itself is a kind of the Amish, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Are incredibly interesting, sociological, you know.
I think there are applications that apply for all of us.
Yeah, what I was going to say is this. I mean, what happens is the question. This is a sociological question.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Let's put the thesis. What happens when you put a people away from the cosmopolitan reality and into a suburban type lifestyle where they're not rural, a kind of lifestyle whereby they're not dependent on technology and the things that we're so dependent upon. And you're telling me that they incline towards a puritanical type living.
Yes. Yeah. The big problem was because they were living. The Amish in America would live way away from people, so they didn't have a problem. But they were living near a fairly major city. They ran a business, etc., etc. But they also kept themselves to themselves.
So give me some things that you were telling me before.
Yeah.
Some of the key things that kind of how you guys would live your life.
Okay. Would get up in the morning.
Yeah, go on. Yeah, I want to hear this.
We had this brothers' prayer meeting every morning.
Right.
And we go into a room with no agenda.
No agenda.
No, nothing apart from to sit down there. We'd hold hands, say the Lord's Prayer, and then just people maybe would start to open up about the difficulty that they had today.
And what kind of? Like that's really interesting. Yeah. So there's a lot more people time.
It'd be a half an hour every morning where we could discuss any problems that we had. We could pray for each other. Okay, which was something that we developed. That I was part of. The
would you say that kind of interpersonal relationship you had with people?
Yeah.
Is an enhanced human interaction, or is it something which is not as good as the technology?
Well, you know what? For me, I had both. Yeah, I had both because I used to be into the nightclubs, the drugs, the drink, the alcohol,
so
all of these things.
I
had all of those things.
Right.
Now,
so you went from one extreme to another. Yeah.
I think I found in the Amish.
Go on.
The genuine version of the counterfeit I was seeking in the pubs, etc., etc. Most of the people who were out...
Wait, I really want to tap into this.
Yeah, go on.
You're saying you found in the Amish the genuine version,
of the counterfeit.
Of the counterfeit, because this is... People are maybe just kind of skipping by your words here, but it's really meaningful stuff you're saying here.
Right.
And I want to kind of like hone in on each part, okay?
Right. Yeah, no, thank you for being interested.
No, I'm very interested. Of course I'm interested. Tell me, why do you think so many people are here? Everyone's interested, right?
I feel it's big, but go on. Yeah,
there are two presuppositions in what you've said, which are really, I think they're correct presuppositions.
Okay, yes.
That people are living in the cosmopolitan lifestyle that we live in here, a counterfeit lifestyle.
Yes,
one.
it is a counterfeit.
And number two, that the more puritanical you become, the more separated that you become from the hustle and bustle, the more you'll find your genuine self.
You know what? There's a balance, because sometimes there are fundamentalist groups that go so far down the path
of no technology,
they dry up so much that there's no joy anywhere in their existence. So it's hard to get this balance right.
So what is the counterfeit? Tell us what is the
counterfeit.
These people here, look, these people walking in the streets, most of them in the 9 million people that live here in London. This was quickly becoming a mega city, London. 9 million individuals. Of them, I promise you, at least 70% have a phone like this.
95%, I'd say.
Oh, we're not counting the toddlers and the babies, are we?
Okay, that's true. Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
All right. So they have a high dependency on technology. At least the vast majority of people. They go to pubs. They enjoy themselves, right?
Yeah.
They live this American dream, which turns out to be everyone else's nightmare.
For sure.
But tell me now, why is that so hollow? Why have you found that was so hollow? And what drove you to go to the Amish?
The reason I say it was a counterfeit is only because I found the real one. If you haven't found the real one, this is the real one. So you have to be, we have to be, I think something that I'm beginning to understand.
Okay.
I need to be more generous to these people than I am, because they, in a way, they don't carry as much guilt as I do, because I can see and you can see. We're going to be judged differently to those people.
Okay.
And I remember, let's just say, I used to get drunk to the point of I didn't know what moderation was. If I liked something a lot, I liked a lot
Which
of
is,
it.
by the way, the norm here.
Of course.
This is part of the British culture. Let's be honest. Friday, Saturday night culture.
Oh yeah.
Binge drinking is part of the culture.
For sure.
And not just Britain.
No, you're right. So I'm trying to. My parents were drinkers. My dad was. Because I come from an Irish family, all my uncles were all alcoholics. Funny, my dad beat alcohol, but he didn't go into that. But I was in a lifestyle where culturally, alcohol. I suppose this is getting to the point. All these people have been groomed. They didn't arrive where they are by accident. There was a sequence of events. They didn't just suddenly arrive fully formed where they are. And lots of, in fact, I'd say 95% of why they're where they are comes from their culture, their parents, the lifestyle that their parents were living. Exactly. And when they're all in the same group, it produces this product in a conveyor belt. And what happened to me was I was on the conveyor belt. I didn't think there was anything else. So when I went into
people here are on the conveyor belt.
You know,
I'm not saying. Let's say here. Let's point forward.
Yeah, they're all on the conveyor belt.
Right.
Okay.
So this conveyor belt of superficiality is what you're talking about.
Yes, for sure.
Of artificial living.
Yes.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Of technology, of this diet, of this regime, of waking up, making money, living to work,
soulless,
and then afterwards being soulless, spiritualist, no spirituality. After that, going to the pub, being nearly unconscious on a Saturday night, waking up, vomiting on a Sunday, whatever it is.
Because I remember because I used to be a bricklayer, and going into the tea hut on a Monday. The only conversation would be all the bad things that you did the previous 2 days. That would be the whole conversation up until Thursday, when you would start to be talking about the bad things you're going to be doing.
Tell me why.
Grievous sin.
Tell me why. When you were in that room, being introspective and asking your brother to kind of give you advice or whatever it was, and having that human interaction. Why that was the true self. Now, you've told us why, because there's two things we broke up, We said, I can't remember exactly what you said, but something along the lines of that was the counterfeit person.
For sure.
Right? The cosmopolitan me was the counterfeit. But in that room, the self-reflective me, that was the genuine me.
Well, you know what, I suppose I haven't thought about it now, but from what you've just said, there's certain things that we all want. We want to belong, we want to be happy, we want to be loved. And for someone who doesn't know God, to be happy means to have as many pleasurable experiences as possible. That's the
hedonistic.
Exactly, it's quantitative.
Okay.
Right. So the more I have of this, the more alcohol, the more fags, the more drugs, the happier I'm going to be.
But I mean, someone could say though, to be fair,
sure,
like John Stuart Mill.
Yeah.
Because I'm just being a bit of a devil's advocate, right? Because his teacher, you could call him, Jeremy Bentham, he propounded utilitarianism, yeah?
Okay, yes, yeah.
And utilitarianism is greatest happiness for the greatest number, okay?
Right.
And in this book,
even if you kill people, then
But then he said something really interesting, Bentham. He said that you've got two lords. He literally said it like this. You've got the Lord of pain and you've got the Lord of pleasure.
Okay.
Yeah, by the way, in the Quran, I'll tell you one interesting verse. It says, أَفَرَأَيْتَ مَنِ اتَّخَذَ إِلَهَهُ هَوَاهُ. Have you seen the one who takes his own desires as his God? Which is literally what this man has written in his book. Anyways, going back to what I was saying, right?
Yeah.
Jeremy Bentham. So John Stuart Mill then fine-tuned that kind of discussion to the harm principle and all this kind of thing.
Sure.
But he also made the following mention, to be fair to secularists, because I know that me and you come from, like, let's say, a religious background, but I try and be as fair as possible when I'm making criticism, innit?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah.
So John Stuart Mill, he said that when it comes to the greatest happiness for the greatest number, it's not just hedonism. It's not just kind of like bestial sensuality and So he argued that the height of human enterprise was intellectualism. If that makes sense.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. He said that that's the happiness that should be pursued.
Okay.
But the point that you're making is actually a very valid point, because what you're saying is that despite the philosophers, that's what they say.
Yeah.
So a liberal philosopher will say that, because John Stuart Mill was a liberal philosopher.
For sure.
But because he knows that there's a distinction, there's a line of demarcation between human beings and animals. And he knows that we have to treasure that line of demarcation and make sure that we as human beings act as human beings.
For sure.
And all these kind of things. But what you're saying is that socially, though, you're saying, although the philosophers have said this, even, let's say, secular philosophers, liberal philosophers, people don't live like that.
They don't.
They don't care about what the philosophers say.
No.
So it's not, a liberal doesn't act like a liberal philosopher. They don't think in that way. They don't think in intellectualism.
They don't understand sin.
Right. So now happiness is defined in your mind, right? Even though it shouldn't be, even according to liberalism, even according to secular living, it shouldn't be. But happiness is defined in terms of material wealth. I believe that this, by the way, can be tracked. A lot of it, the problem is here. This is going to sound very conspiratorial. I think a lot of it goes back to America. And a lot of it goes back to 1930s America. Really, from a historical perspective. And I'll tell you why. When the Great Depression happened in 1929?
Sure.
October the 28th, 24th, whatever it is, 1929, the Wall Street crash, the Great Depression happened through the 30s. Now, they had a plan, right, to try and create a stronger economy again, right? So what they had to do was basically get people to buy houses, big houses, in suburban...
if I dare use the word, the majority of people who would claim to be Muslim
are not living
no different to lots. Thing is, there aren't that
they've
many
been
Christians
sucked in.
Who even claim to be, but they would be effectively like,
they've been sucked in. They've been sucked in.
But
absolutely. Do you know? Don't hold back from that analysis, bro. Let me tell you. Let me be the first to tell you that. Unfortunately, if you look at Elixir Rank is an interesting tool for analysis. Elixir Rank is a website which ranks the rank of websites by how many people in a specific locality go on that particular website. If you go to any Arab country, choose any Arab country you like. Saudi Arabia. Okay, choose Egypt. Choose Morocco. Choose Algeria. Look at the top 20. Because I swear to God, this is actually a good way of tapping into what people are interested in. It's actually one of the best ways now, in my opinion. This is one of the best ways to find out what people in this world are interested in. Because now most people have internet. So we find out what they're interested in by what they serve online, how they serve. Right. So we go to do it today. I've done this before. Go to Algeria, go to Egypt, go to Saudi, and then compare it with Brazil.
Right.
Do you know what you'll find really interesting? You know what I find really interesting, my friend? There's not much difference.
Okay.
Do you know that is the shocking reality of this world? There is not much difference. If you look at America, what they're interested in, top 20, what you're going to find? Number 1 is Google, number 2 is Facebook, number 3 is YouTube, number 4 is, it's going to be like that. Number 5, number 6, then you have some 2 or 3 pornography websites in there. Thank you very much. I'm not going to mention any names, but there it is. It's in the top 20. And sometimes the Arab countries have an even higher, or the Muslim countries have an even higher rating than the Americans.
behind closed doors.
Behind closed doors. Behind closed doors, my friend.
Yeah.
So, and there are
and
economic...
God can see through those doors.
Yeah, of course, but there are economic reasons for it. They get married later on, they're deprived and they become depraved. Anyways, no problem.
Human nature as well.
But the point is, globalization has led to that. So the thing is, humans are very similar. Whether they're humans in Brazil or in America or in Egypt, they like the same things. The cosmopolitan reality, the materialistic world, the American dream has encroached the world. Even now this guy living in Zimbabwe, or this guy living in Zimbabwe. Seriously, the way I said that was quite funny. Zimbabwe, all right, or Kenya, or anywhere, You'll see. Look at the Kenyan, what they're watching online. Look at seriously, you'll be shocked. No, seriously, what they're watching online. You'll be surprised. What is this show? Tell me. I'm not going to give you the answer.
No. But I was just thinking about what they might be watching, and it kind of.
What is this show, man? It shows that. Listen. It shows that technology and the internet reality,
I think,
and the globalized world,
sure.
has sucked us into this. Spiritualist
I think I found
void.
Dive in and dive out.
Dive in. Tell me now.
Not so long ago, whether it was the right development or the wrong development, that character development was assumed to be part of education. Character development along a moral norm, and I'm not saying which is the right moral norm or whatever, but now it's a no-go zone.
Interesting.
So we're
Really
free-falling
interesting.
because we've removed the whole concept of developing character. And I know, with me, I had absolutely no barriers. When my mum, my parents got divorced.
Right.
I was heavily drinking. Had 3 brothers and a little sister. Everything broke down in the house. Normally it does this when a young person wants to get round his dad, and his dad's giving him a lecture, he'll go, shut up. And dad will go, what did you say? Nothing. A week later, he'll be, oh, shut up. And the dad's tired and he lets it go. Give it another month and he might go, we're never going to have that in this house. And this would be like with me. Okay, all right, it won't happen again. And then you might use it at somebody else, but he's really tired, so he lets that one go. And before you know it, you have a house with young men going, F off, drinking and drunk. And this is what happened because all of the mechanisms of civilization had been taken away. Have you read the book The Lord of the Flies?
Yeah.
Now I think that is probably
that's
more...
another GCSE book, by the way, isn't it?
Actually,
what's the
only character development
what's the guy called that wrote that book?
Oh, I don't know.
Yes, you know your stuff, man. William Golden.
Okay, yeah.
And you know William, you know your stuff, man. What do you do? Do you teach GCSE English?
Be talking about.
Okay, very good. William Golden, yes. William Golden is another really interesting character. You know his moral, is just because you know he wrote that book in 1950, I think. I think he wrote in 1950. Yeah, you can check, or maybe 1960.
Before it all went.
Yeah, because it was after World War II, and what he was trying to show was that power. His issue was because he had that power conflict between the. He was trying to show that power corrupts, basically, and this links into John Steinbeck and Mice and Men, the other GCSE book, because really and truly, 2 things corrupt, right? Power and money, and it's not that they corrupt; they have corrupted.
I know.
They have corrupted. We're corrupted now. Yeah, it's probably. And by the way, that's William Golden. That's exactly his perception of human nature. Human nature, according to William Golden, was Hobbesian.
Okay, right.
Thomas Hobbes was a philosopher.
Your stuff. You've been googling.
You've highlighted all the problems.
As long as you stay on the right track,
I'm coming to it, man.
Right.
We need.
You've highlighted the money. People are saying,
No, we'll come to it.
X, Y, Z.
So
what is the solution?
We'll come to it. But we need to flesh out the problem. The doctor's still making the diagnosis, my friend. Okay, listen.
Can I just say this very, very quickly? Because I got in the same position with lots of my people, friends and things. We would constantly churn around the problems, and that would become an orientation, and we would do nothing to say, you know what, maybe we now need to think of solutions. Listen, in fact, look, we know it's as bad as it could possibly be. It can get no worse.
A universal solution.
Let's look at
not a solution just for a group of people, but
that's a good point. It's a universal solution.
Applicable
I think
to the nature of man.
For me, I was drawn to an emergency solution because I needed to do it immediately for my family's sake. And homeschooling is an emergency solution.
That's interesting, but let's go back to this point, right? Because we were talking about, so we know now.
We know how,
Do you know you were interestingly saying something? You were saying that now you got the boy in the house saying tell his mum or dad to F off, whatever. You know there's a hadith, which is a prophetic saying, narrated by Umar ibn al-Khattab, which is one of the companions of the Prophet. He said that the Prophet said there's going to be certain things that are going to happen in the future.
Yeah.
Before the end of time. And you know he said, and تَلِدَ الْأَمَةُ رَبَّتَهَا, that the woman will give birth to her own master, meaning that the children will come back and basically be the one in control in that relationship.
Yes.
And also he said in that hadith, which is linked to the problem.
Sure.
He says that the Arabs, they would use يَتَطَاوَلُوا فِي الْبُنْيَانِ, that they will try and compete in constructing tall buildings.
Okay.
So this is a reference to the capitalistic enterprise. This is a reference to exactly what is going on in Dubai at the moment. Dubai.
Yeah.
Dubai is, you've got the highest building in the world in Dubai.
Everybody's chasing.
You've got the second highest building, I think, now in Saudi Arabia. They're
competing with each other.
They're all competing with each other. So now the American dream has reached the Arab soil.
Yes.
You know, just as the hadith said.
Very powerful.
Just
philosophy.
it's a prophecy of the future. What's going to happen for you? Anyways.
Yeah. Okay.
The problems are outlined and highlighted.
Yeah.
There's a spiritual void that people have as a result of consumeristic living, materialistic living, the American dream, which is actually an American nightmare.
Sure.
You said yourself,
Yeah.
you went to Ireland. What's that place called in Ireland?
Waterford, the Amish place.
The Amish place. You used to, in the morning, you used to stay there, reflect. You know, in our tradition, Islamic tradition, right? The Prophet Muhammad, who we believe is the final prophet. Is the final prophet, yeah?
Yes.
After all of the prophets, the line of prophets, you know, you got Jesus and Abraham and Moses. We believe that all of these were actual prophets. That Jesus, the Messiah, was a prophet.
Yeah.
That, you know, Abraham was a prophet and all these were prophets. And that Prophet Muhammad was the final prophet sent to the Arabs.
Yeah.
So that's just a quick summary of what we believe in.
Sure.
But he, when he was young,
Sent to the Arabs. He came from the Arab but sent to the world.
sorry. Right. Sent to the. Did I just say sent to the Arabs? Came from the Arabs. Yeah. Thank you for that correction. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Sent to the whole world. Yeah.
Sure.
Like it says in chapter 34 of the Quran.
Yeah.
That he, وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا كَافَةً لِلنَّاسِ.
Yeah.
That we haven't sent you except for all of humanity. Right.
For sure.
So he was meant to be the final prophet sent for all of human beings.
Yeah.
Thank you for that correction. Because sometimes I say things and, you know, no one corrects me.
Yeah.
Good.
Accountability, which we need.
Right. But you know, he was sent in a desert area when he was young, like 6 years old or something.
Sure.
Yeah. The philosophy of the Arabs at that time was to send their children to an isolated area, kind of like the Amish. Kind of like the Amish.
I'm interested now. I'm cluing in on
Trust me. He was sent there for a period of time, not forever. Yeah. Because the same exact philosophy as the Amish.
Yeah.
The Amish say that the cosmopolitan reality corrupts.
Yeah.
It can corrupt your thinking. It can corrupt your productivity. Do you know when you're dependent upon X, Y, and Z, your productivity level is actually stopped. You know, a farmer, you know, if you just analyze a farmer, you know, I'm interested in farmers. I'm interested in farmers. Why? Look at the farmers, how they live their life. Seriously.
Yeah.
Go and live with a farmer.
Can I dive in? Keep your thread.
Please, keep the thread.
The Amish believe
Yeah.
that farming is the best way to raise a family because the farm is the school.
Thank you.
The father
Thank you.
teaches the children by
Amazing.
working with them.
Amazing.
And it was in the Old Testament. You
Wow.
didn't send them out, they all scattered
Wow.
to work in the home business. Exactly.
It's good.
Yeah.
So here,
build
the Prophet
children.
was sent
Yeah.
outside of the cosmopolitan reality to keep away from that cosmopolitan reality.
How old would he have been?
He was being like 6 years old at that age, yeah? He was set at 6 years old at that time, he was sent. Now, he came back, 6 years old,
Okay, yeah.
young age, yeah? Came back. Then he was sent one more time. But this time to be what? A shepherd. Okay.
Right, yeah.
And each, according to our philosophy, according to the religious belief system that we have, all the prophets were shepherds. Why? If you think about what a shepherd does, what does a shepherd do? Guides the sheep.
You know what? I've got a shepherd's crook at home to remind me. I remember buying one
He
and putting it
guides
on the wall.
the sheep. Have you ever seen a goat's face?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen a goat's face? Have you ever seen a goat's face? A goat's, you know where the eyes of the goat are? Where are the eyes of the goat? They're on the side of the...
Yeah, they are.
Do you know how amazing that is? Do you know how appropriate that is, my friend? Because
we had goats.
Just imagine how your eyes were here.
Yeah, yeah.
Just imagine. You'd be seeing what's...
Prey animal.
All right, now, what that means, if your eyes were here, you're seeing what's there. You need someone to tell you where to go.
Yes.
A goat, by nature, needs linear direction.
Okay.
Sheep.
Yeah, so
Sheep are the same.
Left,
Sheep are the same.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this is the thing.
Okay.
Just like the prophet
Yeah.
was a shepherd to the sheep,
Yeah.
we are the sheep. The conveyor belt that you've just described is the conveyor belt of the sheep.
It is, it is. It's that herd mentality that stops you breaking free. And it's all kind of interconnected, what we're saying.
The question is this.
Right. The Great Escape.
Where the hell are we going, man?
Can I attempt to give you the answer that I worked out for myself?